Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. Are you looking to expand your portfolio? Well, we've got something that can really put a charge into your integration business, enhance recurring revenue opportunities, and even help create partnerships with local electrical and solar contractor trades. It's energy automation, and it's something that automation veteran PanTech Design has turned into a science with its Adapt Energy hardware and software solution. Learn why CEO Troy Morgan calls it the next big thing in custom integration in this week's episode. Troy Morgan, President and CEO of PanTech Design. Thanks for joining us on the CE Pro podcast.
My pleasure.
So Troy, let's just kind of get started by talking about what PanTech Design does, what types of solutions you offer, the markets that you serve, and who your customers are.
Sure. So we actually started in 2005, and our primary focus was programming large automation systems, yachts, big buildings, homes, those kind of things for Crestron systems, and really a B2B solution for an integrator. We've evolved into creating a software product that makes programming Crestron systems extremely fast, cuts like 80% of the time out of the programming aspect of it, and allows you to do quick configuration. We call that Adapt. We introduced that in 2015. And then another evolutionary product from Adapt is Adapt Energy. And so today we've got a heavy focus on not only our Adapt software for the faster way of programming Crestron systems, but also our Adapt software and hardware solution called Adapt Energy that we sell directly to integrators and also directly to solar contractors and electrical contractors. So our target's a little bit wider than it used to be, with our industry being kind of small. So we've expanded into working directly with a lot of the solar and electrical contractors out there.
So in terms of the Adapt Energy offering, how did PanTech Design, how did you guys get into energy automation in the first place? What sort of attracted you to that? And also for integrators who don't know anything about energy automation, tell us a little bit about what it entails and what some of the potential it has included.
Yeah, sure. So how we got into it was, well, first, I guess I've had a love for energy in general, electricity and those kind of things. I've been monitoring my home with Crestron's Fusion energy monitoring system since 2012. But the extent of what I got out of that was we could tell we used a lot of power. We could see sort of where that was coming from. I could see when we did laundry. I could see when we washed dishes. That was about it. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I saw sort of an opportunity for two industries to collide, where you have this energy industry over here doing all this solar stuff and home batteries and the like, and then you have this whole other industry, home automation. And well, with what we know, and also what I sort of have been playing around with for a while, man, bringing those two together just made a lot of sense. So another way to look at it is, it's one thing to monitor energy, but it's a completely different thing to control it. And you have to start to look at the reasons why you would control energy. Why would you want to shut off things? Why would you want to, what we like to call shape, shift, and shed the load in a home? And that's the automation end of things. And so most people don't know that inverters and large capacity batteries, those types of things, they have a max. I mean, there's only so much power that they can either produce or allow to pass through them or the like. So when you start dealing with situations like homes that are off grid, maybe, or when the grid completely goes down and you have a home battery or a generator or another means of energy, you can really suck that dry quick if you are not sort of changing the energy use of the home relative to the need. The holy grail is to build a system, design a system, and in such a way that you aren't sort of making the customer compromise their lifestyle, but able to achieve what you need for the system in the home. So how do you make your battery last as long as possible, and at the same time not compromise the lifestyle of the consumer? And
Right.
and that's what energy automation is partly about.
So what types of products are involved, just for starters, in terms of some of the types of things that you're able to actually automate?
So one of the beauties and why we are very true to our name, Adapt Energy, is we're capable of communicating with any device. You want it to be practical and pragmatic. Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, kind of a thing. But when it comes to the devices that we communicate with, for starters, we partnered with Sonnen, and we are communicating with their EcoLinks battery. It's one of the smartest batteries on the market, and I really dig that thing from the sort of the intelligence standpoint. And so we get information like the state of charge and what its backup reserve currently is, and whether it's charging or it's discharging. Then we turn around and with our sort of hardware platform, which is what Adapt Energy really is, we use that to control Schneider Electric relay control breakers. And we also integrate with a monitoring solution called Curb, like the curb on a road. It's an incredible system. It's super intelligent, gives us all the sort of monitoring information we need about what's going on with solar, what's going on with the battery, what are the loads in the home doing. And then we are able to automate things based on the information that we get to shut things down or turn things on, or use our schedule to do that at different times of the day, or sunrise or sunset. We also monitor weather, which is really cool. So if you can imagine, my house, literally, this is what happens in my home. When there's severe weather in the area, it will automatically tell my battery to increase its backup reserve from the normal 29% I keep it at to 100. So it's going to charge as fast as possible. It's going to turn around and tell my shades to lower. It's going to turn on my air conditioners to pre-cool the home. It's going to change the lighting a little bit so that we can sort of load balance the home, because we're now going to be sucking on either solar or the grid, depending on what we've got. And then that is all it's automated. It just happens, and it's all to prepare for the potential of a power outage.
And so you just have that going through, what kind of automation system do you have it tied to? This is in your own home that you have as a demo home, basically?
Yes. In fact, we've had hundreds of people come through this home last year. Unfortunately, this year has been a little different. But yeah, when we first introduced it in March, between March and the end of the year, man, we had a ton of people come through here. So my system is a Crestron home automation system. The Adapt Energy system that we've designed is also built around Crestron, but it's a self-contained system. You don't have to have a Crestron home automation system. But if you do, you can connect our Adapt Energy stuff to that Crestron home automation system to achieve the control of lights and shades and thermostats and anything else you want. I mean,
so really any major home automation system you're able to integrate with?
Today we have both Control4 and Crestron done.
Okay.
We are interested in talking to some of the other guys out there, but sort of one thing at a time and refining what we have. So yeah, but the goal is, yes, ultimately we want to work with everybody, and that's the other thing as well that we want to be able to do with Adapt Energy is, again, be true to our name. And so the devices out there, we'll look at other monitoring solutions. We'll look at other batteries. We'll look at, we're working with other battery manufacturers as we speak to see what their capabilities are, and if they can sort of match the capability that a Sonnen battery has, then it becomes really enticing to integrate their batteries and other things as well, inverters and the like.
And so you guys at PanTech, you work with other integrators to help them design solutions that incorporate all these different things. What does the integrator have to know from their side in terms of pitching these kind of systems to clients? How do you find that conversation works best in terms of selling techniques, demo techniques, where they can come to you guys and say, hey, okay, here's our client, here's the type of system that we're planning on installing for them?
I think it is a difficult thing to speak about, meaning it's hard to convey. It's really hard to convey any automation at the end of the day, but this type of automation is probably even more difficult in my opinion. So what we've done is we've put together a lot of material and some great videos on our website that we want our customers to send their customers to, so they can learn a little bit more about what energy automation really is, what can be done, and they can physically see those things happen. And so you want to start by having the conversation, right, about what is possible and why. Why are we even doing these things? So understanding first and foremost that resiliency is a good thing, right? That when the power goes out, you still have power. That's a big deal. Along those lines, I want to share something that in my own naivety, I used to think it was really, I guess the right way to say it, a little jealous. Driving down the road and I'm seeing, people with solar panels on their houses. I'm like, man, that must be nice. Cause every once in a while we'll get a blip in the power out here in Texas. And I'm thinking those guys got power when the power goes out, and that must be cool. And the truth of the matter is they don't, unless they have a home battery. If they have a method and a way to store that energy, then they can power the inverters, which are necessary to change that DC power over to AC power to run in a home. Something I just never knew until a few years ago and really digging in. And so sort of back to learning some of these things and knowing what you sort of don't know, starting with the conversation with a customer about, resiliency. And are you planning on putting solar on the home? And if you are, you really need to have a home battery, because in my opinion, solar without a home battery is kind of not smart. Certainly not as good as it can be, right? So you start there.
Certainly a great point to make to them, because like you said, they probably don't understand that tie-in.
They assume that they're going to have power when the power goes out, and I got to tell you, some of the solar guys almost try to stay away from the conversation because it's kind of like off-putting. You go, wait a minute, so let me get this straight. And then all of a sudden they're going, yeah, no, we'll reconsider this. But a home battery changes that, right? And so then you get to the point where you've had the home battery conversation about the benefits of the home battery and the resiliency and the like. And then you attack the whole thing with a management system like Adapt Energy to handle all of the things that need to happen, so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything. It just does it all for you. And your home is going to be prepared and ready for whatever comes its way, whether it's severe weather or just a blip in the power.
So do you guys offer any sort of training in terms of the Adapt Energy? And what's the learning curve like in general for an integrator who says, yeah, I see a need for this, I'd like to add energy automation to my portfolio?
Yeah, so learning curve is not that steep, really. In fact, like I said earlier, we sell our Adapt Energy stuff directly to solar contractors and electrical contractors. And while they understand the energy side of things, they don't really know much at all about networking or home automation or automation in general. And so they're able to literally install our panel, get it connected, get it configured. Super simple to do. But as far as training goes, yes, we offer, I like to do one-on-ones because I feel like it's best to have a Q&A session, because there is a lot of material to cover. And I feel like a lot of times delivering the information in just one manner, sometimes people are going to miss things. And so I want to be able to have that interaction with people, at least right now. But we have also done some online trainings of large groups as well. And if you're an integrator and you're looking at a way to sort of expand your offering and get into a field or something that is super exciting and really, in my opinion, the next big thing, this is it, man. And I'm here to help you. One of the reasons why I live and breathe this stuff the way I do is because I want to hone in on all the good stories all the wonderful things. I can teach people so much about how to not only sell this type of stuff, but also paint the picture and deliver the messages, and then design it and engineer it. And we're with our integrators like the whole way through the process. So we don't, ultimately, I think what people get is to a point where they've got it, like they know it, they understand it, and they can run with it. But I think the first few, we really white glove the thing to help them understand it.
Nice. And is it residential customers only, or do you guys do this in light commercial as well? What are some of the opportunities that this can get guys into?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Residential is a focus, but we've got plenty of people doing this in commercial. And in fact, in commercial applications, they're a lot more challenging because they're just larger scale, right? So
yeah. What are some of the typical applications that you've seen from there?
Well, start looking at your dentist's office kind of things, your office spaces. They, especially now that at home offices, that's an interesting angle now, because like you and I are doing right now, people are in online meetings all day long, and they can't go down. It's, in some cases, it could cost big money if you're missing out on certain things and information. So seeing some of that, but really it's a matter of protection to a degree. Start thinking about it like this: koi ponds. A weird thing to think about, isn't it? But those fish are expensive, right? And so when you have a koi pond go down and you can't aerate properly and those kind of things, that's a serious problem. Wine cellars, those are another reason to have a sort of a home battery. But you need notifications, you need information, and you need the system to do its job. So it's both in commercial, residential. We do kind of all of it, and we're expandable. This is kind of mind-blowing, but we are expandable up to control of 2016 breakers. Now our initial offering is it's 16 breakers. That's the Adapt Energy panel will control up to 16 relay controlled breakers, but we have, again, true to our name, the ability to adapt to whatever. And if you're going to go do light commercial, heavy commercial, and you need load control of shaping and shedding and shifting and all that, that's what we do.
Yeah, I would imagine certain applications, just in terms of like a security system, especially, that you can't have that going offline.
Yeah, no, you want that on all the time. In my opinion, every home should have a home battery in this day and age, because you just don't know what's going to happen when. So
That's true. What about in terms of recurring revenue opportunities or service contracts? Is it something when you start to get into that word of monitoring or managing something for a client, it would seem like it would open up some more revenue streams that way. Are you finding that any of your integrator partners are using it to that effect?
So not yet, and that's partly our fault, right? Because we're still evolving the technology, and we're taking automation sort of to the next level with respect to the energy side of things, but we haven't taken it to the cloud yet. And once we do, then you're going to start to see that recurring revenue possibility happen. And it is on the roadmap, it's part of the plan. But for right now, we haven't done that yet.
Troy, finally, I'd say in terms of integrator misconceptions, are there certain things about installing energy automation systems, or when they hear that phrase energy automation, what would you say are their biggest obstacles to overcome in order to just get into this? What kind of misconceptions do they have?
I think probably the biggest one is not understanding why you need the management side of things. Traditionally, when home batteries were installed, there was a lot of work that had to be done, whether it was a retrofit or a new build, because the home battery can't possibly power everything. And what would happen is you would essentially take the wires out of a main panel and have to move them to another panel, and that panel would be powered by the battery. And it's probably getting into a little bit of detail here, but I think one of the most common misconceptions is that you have to control everything, and you don't, or that you have to be able to power everything, and you don't. You can be very selective, and from a design perspective, be very calculated on what you're doing and why. And that can really sort of hone in on, or really drive costs down ultimately. So when people first start hearing about the costs associated with these things, they in their minds want to double it, triple it, because they start looking at, oh, okay, so I've got 5 air conditioners and I need, no, that is not the way to look at it. You want to create sort of a place in the home that becomes the place that you gather in the event of a situation, and you can really start to kind of, just design from those types of principles. And Adapt Energy changes all those design principles because of its level of control and monitoring and the automation of it as well. One other misconception, or just kind of piece of confusion, I guess, is that you have to have a home automation system in order to do this. And that is not true. You do not. The way we've designed Adapt Energy, you can put in an energy automation system that is going to automate the power of things, whether it's the production, meaning solar, or the consumption, meaning the loads in the home. Those can all be automated so that you can have a battery that lasts as long as possible, and you can also have an energy efficient home that's not wasting power when you don't need to be running something.
Right. So it sounds like you offer a bit of flexibility and scalability that integrators can work with to really kind of cater a system to just what the client needs.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, true to the name, right? Because one thing I've definitely learned, no one system has been the same at all. You cannot, it's almost like some of these other, systems out there are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And for us, there is no peg and there is no hole, right? Because we can sort of handle whatever the situation is.
All right, sounds great. Well, Troy Morgan, PanTech Design and Adapt Energy, we appreciate your time, and thanks for shedding some insights into this, increasingly trending category.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Enjoyed it.